At the beginning, Kazuhiro was thinking that this was undoubtedly related to his behavior. A girl then said that she was glad she had been able to meet Yagimoto-kun after all, while she blushed. Kazuhiro responded to Miki-chan, and she thanked him before turning and saying that thanks to him, she was going out with Takeshi-kun. She ran away while saying that she wanted them to remain friends from there on out. Kazuhiro said that he was very happy he could help, smiling and waving, before shouting internally that it was the same punchline again and wondering why every time it turned out that way. He thought that he wanted a girlfriend and that this was why he constantly conducted himself in a proper manner. He considered himself upright and respectable, with pure motives, and in order to draw the attention of girls, he always accepted requests with a smiling face. The outcome, he thought, was that he had already helped 13 pairs, 26 people become couples. Before he had even realized it, he had become a nice guy who served as a couple's matchmaker. While hitting his head against a tree, he shouted internally, questioning why it was like that and thinking that he wanted a girlfriend so badly. Kazuhiro then saw a girl with glasses behind the tree and wondered if he had been seen. He panicked, thinking that if his sudden outburst were leaked, his cultivated image of honesty would be ruined. The girl stated that she had seen it. Kazuhiro reacted tensely as Saotome removed her glasses and explained that she had seen it because they were in the same class and that she had always been watching him. Kazuhiro recognized her as Hoshikawa Saotome and thought in shock that this classmate whom he had considered plain was actually extremely beautiful. Saotome said she had a request and, while blushing, asked if he would become her boyfriend. Kazuhiro reacted in disbelief as she asked whether it was not acceptable. He hurriedly said he was happy, and Saotome asked if that was true. Kazuhiro confirmed it, thinking that he had finally achieved it after 17 years of unwavering dedication. He felt that he had been nearly crushed by constant humiliation and had only ever been a good guy, but that now he finally had a girlfriend. He thanked God internally. Saotome then told him that it was great that he had agreed to be her fake boyfriend so easily. Kazuhiro reacted in confusion and asked what she had said, and she asked whether he had not heard her. She explained that Yagimoto-kun was becoming her fake boyfriend. Kazuhiro questioned where she had gotten that idea, and Saotome took out a recorder and played back the edited version of their conversation, in which her original request had been changed to fake boyfriend, and his response sounded like agreement. Kazuhiro began sweating intensely. Saotome then turned and explained that she wanted to understand the emotion called love, wondering what kind of feeling it would give her and whether it would make her heart race. She said that with that being the case, Yagimoto Kazuhiro-kun, being very kind to girls, was the best person for the job. Kazuhiro internally questioned why this was happening and thought that nothing had changed. Saotome, now sitting, asked whether Kazuhiro understood. Kazuhiro bowed, and Saotome grabbed his hand, telling him to stand up because they were only pretending anyway and that casual dating would be fine. Kazuhiro reacted tensely, and Saotome asked if he was refusing and said it was fine if he was. Kazuhiro apologized, and Saotome played another video in which Kazuhiro had been hitting his head against the tree while shouting that he wanted a girlfriend. She played it repeatedly. Kazuhiro's phone rang, and he answered. A girl asked whether he had caught a cold and whether he had forgotten his part-time job. Kazuhiro apologized and said he would be there soon. He tried to leave, explaining that he had to go to his part-time job at the coffee shop, but Saotome grabbed his hand, refusing to let him go unless he agreed to be her fake boyfriend. Kazuhiro said he would be late, but she insisted repeatedly. He finally shouted that he understood and that even if it was fake or whatever, he would accept it, and then he ran. Saotome watched him leave and thought proudly that she had tricked a helpless high school boy. She smiled happily. Later, Kazuhiro walked through town thinking angrily that he had been tricked and wondered why he had to be a fake boyfriend. He thought about Saotome's words that casual dating would be fine and wondered why she had been so desperate. He arrived at the cafe and apologized for being late. A girl in her underwear shouted his name, and he recognized her as Tenkyu Sane. Embarrassed, he turned away and apologized. Sane apologized as well, admitting she had forgotten to lock the kitchen. She put on her maid outfit and apologized again. Kazuhiro, blushing, said it was fine. Sane asked if he wanted water and went to the water dispenser. Kazuhiro tried to warn her, but water sprayed onto her face. Sane panicked, and Kazuhiro rushed to help. Sane stood drenched, unsure what to do. The manager instructed Sane to leave the rest to Yagimoto-kun and to go get changed. Sane thanked her, and Kazuhiro cleaned the floor, thinking that any machine Sane touched broke down. Sane later greeted customers, and the manager noted that thanks to Sane, the shop was flourishing. Kazuhiro thought about how different it was from the previous establishment and was told not to say that because times changed. He observed Sane and thought that she had come to work part-time to learn about society since she was a sheltered high-class Oju-sama. He thought that her unsuitability for maid cafe work had ironically made the shop popular, and that this environment continued to keep her ignorant of the real world, creating much trouble. The manager approached Kazuhiro anxiously, and he internally noted that trouble was approaching. Two boys harassed Sane, asking for her email and personal information. Sane did not know what email meant, reinforcing her sheltered status. One boy grabbed her hand, and Kazuhiro intervened, gripping the boy's arm. The boy insisted it was just a joke. Later that night, Sane thanked Kazuhiro for helping earlier. Kazuhiro brushed it off. Sane hesitated and said she had something she wanted to ask. She then asked Kazuhiro to become her lover while blushing. Kazuhiro reacted in shock, thinking that a second angel had descended. Sane apologized, assuming she was burdening him. But Kazuhiro insisted it was no problem and said he was happy. Before he could finish, Sane clarified that by lover, she did not mean a real relationship. She explained that they would only be going out in name only and that she was in an unavoidable situation that required a man to fulfill the role of a lover. Kazuhiro questioned internally why God was putting him through such a living hell. Sane said that the only person she could trust with something like this was Yagimoto-sama. She grabbed his hand and asked him to agree, promising not to cause trouble. Kazuhiro apologized internally, thinking it was his own fault, and Sane asked if it was not possible. Kazuhiro said he understood, and Sane thanked him joyfully. That night, Kazuhiro entered his home thinking how strange it was that two beautiful girls had both asked him to become their fake boyfriend. He wondered if this counted as two-timing. He opened the mailbox, and mail spilt out. He noticed Takana's name and went inside carrying food. He saw a girl sleeping and thought she was careless as usual. He called out to Takana, telling her to wake up. Takana sprang awake and attacked the punching bag, and Kazuhiro shouted that it was him. Takana, still groggy, asked if he had brought food. Kazuhiro identified her as Hayo Takana. As she ate, she praised the food, and Kazuhiro thought she would be cute if she acted more normally. He considered her his childhood friend, a genius successor to the ancient Japanese martial art, the way of Hayo Divine Vanquish, and a monster who had defeated a wild bear unarmed in elementary school. Takana then said she had a request. Kazuhiro asked if she was going to ask him to be her fake boyfriend. Takana responded that he understood well and told him to become her fake boyfriend, saying they would only be pretending. She smiled, blushed, and crushed a spoon while saying she looked forward to it, calling him Kazu. The scene shifted to the school building and then the classroom. Kazuhiro sat thinking that even Takana was helping make fake boyfriends a craze. He thought that if the situation leaked, it would be troublesome, but if he pulled it off smoothly, he might manage. As he thought this, Saotome entered the classroom. The class reacted with surprise, wondering who she was. Kazuhiro also reacted in shock as Saotome hugged him and greeted him cheerfully. The class was stunned that she called him Kazuhiro, and people questioned if Yagimoto-kun was involved with her. Saotome declared that he was a wonderful guy to be attracted to, and Kazuhiro reacted helplessly. Sane and Takana also called out to him. Kazuhiro attempted to explain himself, but Saotome insisted he did not need to be formal and told him to call her Saotome. Kazuhiro blushed, thinking that this was how he was dragged into a strange conflict as the fake boyfriend in a love triangle. The scene shifted, and Saotome said that it had been interesting to see everyone's faces. Kazuhiro and Saotome were walking together as Saotome mentioned that something like her and Kazuhiro suddenly becoming a pair of lovers was shocking. Kazuhiro thought that all he received from having 3 fake girlfriends was a headache. He wondered what he should do and questioned whether he should tell only Hoshikawa right then. Saotome then remembered something and said that the next day she would bring a bento with her and make the others feel bad or hurt their feelings by showing it off. She said they should eat together and show it off, sitting in a lovey-dovey place so they could attract lots of attention. Kazuhiro thought that honestly, the fact that the time and place to meet each of the girls was different was a huge relief. He thought that he did not think it would really become a problem. Saotome suddenly moved close to his face and asked if Kazuhiro was listening. Kazuhiro reacted in shock and confirmed that he was. Saotome backed off and asked why he was being absent-minded even though such a cute girlfriend was right beside him. Kazuhiro thought that she was a fake girlfriend, though. Saotome added that it was because he had suddenly acted like a lover. Kazuhiro responded that it still did not feel real. Saotome then suggested that they should kiss just like lovers. Kazuhiro blushed, and Saotome told him to close his eyes because it was embarrassing. Kazuhiro closed his eyes, and Saotome kissed him on the cheek, then stated that something like that actually happening was impossible. She laughed and said that even for her, it was impossible. Kazuhiro thought that Saotome was a little devil. Saotome then said that setting that aside, she wanted to talk about what they would do next and suggested that they have tea and then return as fake lovers. Kazuhiro suddenly apologized and said he had something important to do afterward. Saotome reacted in confusion, and Kazuhiro ran away while saying they would talk about it the next day. Saotome called out, "Kazuhiro?" and seemed confused. The scene shifted to a mansion where someone apologized for inviting Kazuhiro there that day. Kazuhiro said it was completely fine but sounded uncertain. He appeared wearing a suit and addressed Tenkyun Sane while reacting to something a servant presented. Sane asked whether it suited his tastes. Kazuhiro then took her hand and said that even though it was sudden, they should go. Sane reacted with confusion and asked where they were going. They walked together, and Kazuhiro tried to address Tenkyun Sane formally. Sane stuttered and said that since they were lovers, she should call him Kazuhiro-sama. Kazuhiro blushed, and Sane asked him to call her Sane because that day was their date. Kazuhiro reacted nervously to the word date, and Sane explained that she was not familiar with such things and had thought it was pronounced that way. Kazuhiro said he understood and told her they should go, addressing her as Sane-san. Sane smiled and said, "Yes, Kazuhiro-sama." Kazuhiro blushed and thought she was cute. Sane said that it was somewhat embarrassing. Guards appeared, and Sane suggested that they should go to a nearby famous artist gallery. Kazuhiro agreed, and they walked inside as people greeted them. They walked around the gallery, and Kazuhiro thought that it was amazing. Sane talked with someone, and later, near a painting, she pointed out a highly valued nature painting from Paris. Kazuhiro reacted tensely and said he saw. Sane explained that the artist had hit rock bottom and barely managed to preserve his uniqueness. She apologized and asked if it was boring. Kazuhiro insisted he had fun. They walked out as the people bowed to them, and Kazuhiro thought that she really was a super rich Oju-sama. As they walked through the streets, Sane touched a pole and was shocked. Kazuhiro thought that there was also a side of her that was a bit sheltered from the world. Sane then said that although some things had happened, she enjoyed the day. Kazuhiro thought that somehow he had fun too. The scene shifted to Takana's face. Kazuhiro hid with Sane while covering her mouth and thought tensely that it was Takana. Momona was holding Takana's hand and said that they should go play and that afterward it would be fine to go to a love hotel. Takana shouted, asking what kind of stupid things Momona was saying. Momono complained that Takana had been cold lately. Takana blushed and said that it was because she had a proper boyfriend. Momona reacted in shock and said she thought it was just a lie. Takana insisted it was not and said she would introduce him. Momona ran behind Takana, shouting that it was cruel even though she was there with her and that when she met that man, she would go to him. Takana ran after her and told her to calm down. Kazuhiro, still holding Sane, thought that they had left and wondered why Sane helped him hide. Sane quietly called out, "Kazuhiro-sama," and blushed as she tried to say something. Kazuhiro then noticed that his hand was on her chest and screamed, backing away and apologizing to Sane. Sane also blushed and said that it was still a little too soon for that. A woman appeared, looking angry. The scene shifted to a building, waiters, and a dining room. Sane thanked Kazuhiro for the day, and Kazuhiro said it had been really fun. They sat at a table, and Sane said she had fun too and asked if he was tired. Kazuhiro said he was not and had lost track of time. He then thought that he had noticed something as he looked at the same woman from before, now sitting with two men. Kazuhiro thought that the conspicuous group of three had been tailing them from the very beginning and wondered whether they were filming a movie. Kazuhiro quietly told Sane that strange people had been following them. Sane looked tense and apologized, saying she had pretended not to notice. Kazuhiro reacted tensely and thought that maybe they were threatening her. He thought that with the prominence of the Tenkyun family, it was possible they had a hold over one of her weaknesses. He wondered whether the reason Sane called him there was connected to them. He thought he had to protect her and questioned whether he should take her and run from the store, but decided it would be dangerous for her. A waitress appeared and asked if he was ready to order. Kazuhiro panicked and thought they had forced their way over. He ordered the chef's special. The woman moved close and asked about his drink, the brand of coffee, whether dessert was okay, his hobbies, his annual income, and his ability to make a girl happy. Kazuhiro reacted stiffly and questioned what kind of discussion it was. She clicked her tongue and said she understood before walking away. Kazuhiro wondered who those people were. Kazuhiro ate while thinking that he could not focus at all. The woman continued standing beside them, and Kazuhiro looked at Sane and thought that Sane looked afraid as well. He wished he had a warrior's arm like Takana. The woman stared at him intensely, and he thought she looked seriously mad. Clenching his fist, he wondered why those people had to be in the way and thought that above all, Sane was scared. When the woman asked if he wanted a refill of coffee, Kazuhiro slammed the table and demanded to know who they were. He told them that if they had business with them, they should say it clearly, and that because they had been following them all day, Sane had been really scared, and it was distressing. Sane looked shocked, and the woman froze. Kazuhiro said that he did not know what they planned to do, but if they obstructed his time with Sane any longer, he would not forgive them. He then thought nervously that he had actually said it out loud. The woman admitted they had gone too far because they were worried and apologized for their rude behavior, addressing him as Yagimoto Kazuhiro-kun. Kazuhiro reacted in confusion. Sane told him that it was not what he thought. Kazuhiro guessed that the woman was Sane's relative. Sane confirmed it and explained that Aunt Shizuka was the acting head of the Tenkyuin Memorial Foundation and had become Sane's legal guardian after her parents' death. Sane said that Aunt Shizuka wanted to inspect their date. Kazuhiro laughed awkwardly. Sane said she would give details another day. Kazuhiro said he understood. Sane apologized for the trouble that day, and Kazuhiro said it was okay, and that he did not hate her and would not stop being her fake boyfriend. Sane asked if he really meant it. Kazuhiro promised. Sane blushed and said that if he lied, she would not forgive him. Outside, Shizuka called Sane over. Sane greeted her as Aunt Shizuka and asked about the marriage interview. Shizuka said the discussion was on hold but that they needed to inspect Kazuhiro further. She said that although he was somewhat unreliable, she would give him a passing mark for that day. Sane smiled. Shizuka added that she would forgive the rudeness for that day and wanted a proper introduction next time. Sane agreed. Later that night, Kazuhiro walked while thinking that with everything that happened, he was tired but glad things went smoothly. His phone rang, and the caller was Hoshikawa. Kazuhiro answered, and Saotome asked whether the important thing he had to do went well. Kazuhiro said it was fine, and that she should not worry. He asked if she wanted to meet him again the next day. Saotome laughed and asked why he was talking like that, and whether he had taken part in a small play. Kazuhiro said nothing and thought that he was not sure of other people's feelings. The scene shifted, and Momono said that this man was Takana Wanisama's boyfriend. Takana confirmed it proudly and said that he was Kazu, her childhood friend. Kazuhiro responded nervously and introduced himself as Yagimoto Kazuhiro, saying, "Nice to meet you," while thinking in frustration about why he always ended up in weird situations. He looked at the strange clothes he was wearing and wondered why he was dressed like that, then decided to turn back time a bit. Earlier, Sane had thanked Kazuhiro for the previous day, and he told her she was welcome. Sane then brought up a certain person, and Kazuhiro assumed she was referring to Shizuka Obasama. Sane explained that she presumed he had already been informed of her parents' passing, and he confirmed that he had. Sane said that since she was of their direct descent, she had been made to repatriate from America to where she was now. She explained that during those times of crisis, the person serving as the officer in charge of the Tenkyuin Memorial Foundation had been Shizuka Obasama. Sane added that Shizuka Obasama would continue serving in that position until Sane reached adulthood. Kazuhiro reacted by saying that Shizuka was amazing. Sane agreed and said that because Shizuka inspired her, she wanted to learn even just a little more about society. Kazuhiro thought that a maid cafe was an unusual choice for that. Sane continued by saying she had stumbled across a problem. While blushing, she explained that she had been advised to partake in numerous marriage interviews. Kazuhiro reacted in shock that Sane was being asked to attend marriage interviews. Sane said that if she were to marry, she would have no choice but to stop going to school and inherit the position of chairman, which meant she could not continue observing the outside world. She said she must study more so she could fully relieve her Obasama of responsibilities. Kazuhiro concluded that she needed a fake boyfriend to avoid all those marriage interviews. Sane apologized for causing Kazuhiro a great deal of trouble. She grabbed his hand and, blushing, said that if it was with him, she believed they could become a proper couple worthy of Obasama's acceptance. She had a sparkling expression. Kazuhiro clarified nervously that she meant being a fake couple until the end, and Sane confirmed it. Kazuhiro thought that she intended to formally introduce him to Obasama the next day and asked him to do well. He reflected that being an Oju-sama was a handful in a lot of aspects. Later, Kazuhiro walked while thinking that it was a good thing he had not gotten scared back then. He said that just in case, he thought it was a good idea to train himself and considered asking Takana for help. Suddenly, Takana shouted, "There you are, Ka-zu," bringing him back to the present. Kazuhiro wondered why he was dressed up as a savior of the century's end while Takana told him to shut up and go with it. Two kids commented that he was not what they imagined but that he seemed like a perfect match for Takana Wani-sama. Kazuhiro thought it was strange hearing Takana being referred to as Wani-sama and struggled to hold back his laughter. Takana told the kids that Kazuhiro had just returned from a training journey while hitting him with her shoulder, causing him to grunt. A girl approached him and questioned how Takana Wani-sama could have someone like him as her boyfriend. Kazuhiro reacted nervously and recognized her as Momono. Momono said she absolutely could not accept someone like Yagimoto Kazuhiro, who only had 15 strokes in his name, claiming that she, Hitsujikai Momono, was clearly more compatible with Wani-sama than he was. Takana told Momono-chan not to be mean to her boyfriend, but Momono refused to accept him. Kazuhiro thought that he understood the situation. He then patted Takana's head and said that it could not be helped, explaining that his journey was finally over, that he had fallen in love with her, and that he was now back to living with people. He walked away and told Takana they should go. Takana hesitated and responded while the kids blushed and Momono pouted angrily. Takana apologized excessively, and Kazuhiro asked about the strange clothes he was wearing. Takana explained nervously that she had told the others he was stronger than she was. Kazuhiro reacted in disbelief, saying that being stronger than her meant he had defeated something like a monster, and asking how she even saw him. He asked if that comparison often happened to her. Takana admitted that it did because she went to a girls' high school. Kazuhiro laughed at the idea of Takana being in Wani-sama. Takana, blushing heavily, said that she had a different personality at school. She explained that she was on a sports scholarship and that everyone became emotionally attached to her, so she told them she would not date anyone who was not stronger than she was. She bowed and apologized to Kazuhiro. Kazuhiro thought about her request, whether he would act as her boyfriend until others gave up, especially since Momono would not be easily convinced. He accepted, saying he understood, but then said that in exchange before he could finish, Momono appeared holding a camera, declaring that she would never accept such a guy and that she would definitely expose his real self. That night, Kazuhiro punched a punching bag while Takana instructed him to draw back his chin, tighten his sides, and lower his center of gravity. She hugged him from behind to adjust his posture, causing him to react in embarrassment. Takana corrected him and said that his waist should be positioned differently. Kazuhiro said he never imagined there was so much involved in punching and apologized for assuming it was simple. Takana insisted that underestimating the way of the warrior would get him hurt. Kazuhiro asked why she suddenly wanted him to learn this stuff. Takana said it was just because, but added that he seemed to be enjoying himself too. Kazuhiro asked if she was enjoying it, and Takana said she was super happy. Smiling, she said she could finally pay him back for taking care of her up until then. She encouraged him to place confidence into every punch and said they were going for 1,000 more. Kazuhiro begged her not to be that harsh. Outside, Momono watched from atop a pole with a telescope, saying it was weird that Wani-sama was teaching the basics to someone supposedly stronger than her. She said there must be something fishy going on. After training, Kazuhiro lay exhausted on his bed, saying he could not do any more. Takana told him it was not that tiring, and he shouted not to lump him in with her. Takana said his body would be in pain soon, and told him to do cooling down exercises. Kazuhiro agreed weakly. Takana then told him to get ready. He reacted nervously, and she massaged his back. He asked what she was doing, and Takana sat on his back and explained that it was thanks for that day and that he needed to be properly massaged or his muscles would stiffen. She thanked him for accompanying her. Kazuhiro thought it felt good. Momono shouted from the pole, demanding to know what Takana was doing since Wani-sama should not do such things. Kazuhiro collapsed face first onto the floor and thought about how Takana was truly a top-level student. He looked at her and thought that she had been crude and rowdy ever since back then, and could not do housework at all. He then looked at her chest and thought she was not much of a woman at all, before stopping himself and thinking, not much. He turned away, but Takana asked what was wrong. Kazuhiro thought nervously, wondering since when she had such a cute face, and blushed before sitting up and thanking her. Takana called him Kazu, grabbed his hand, and said that she still had to finish properly. Kazuhiro quickly insisted he was fine and that it was enough. They suddenly fell, and Takana ended up on top of him, blushing and calling him Kazu. Kazuhiro stared at her. Momono screamed that it was a lie and accused Takana of being a two-timer while running away. Takana called out to him nervously as her face hovered close to his. Kazuhiro's phone rang. He apologized and excused himself, thinking he was saved. He checked the caller and saw it was Hashikawa. He answered and said it was him. Saotome laughed and asked what character he was playing this time, saying she was wondering what he was doing. Kazuhiro reacted awkwardly and said something vague. Saotome asked if he was with someone. Kazuhiro confirmed that he was, and Saotome said she would call him later. Kazuhiro agreed. Takana asked who it was. Kazuhiro said it was just a friend. Takana nervously asked if acting as her boyfriend was a hassle for him and said they could stop if he wanted. She added that it had been an unreasonable request from the beginning. Kazuhiro said he did not mind. Takana reacted in surprise, and Kazuhiro explained that they were always together anyway, so they could do other stuff while they were at it. Takana smiled and thanked him warmly. She then suddenly declared that from then on, they would jog 30 kilometers. Kazuhiro begged for rest for that day. Momono, punching a machine, shouted that she would never accept him, the 15-stroke guy. The scene shifted, and Seina asked Kazuhiro if he would meet Shizuka Obasama, so that she could apologize for her ill intentions from the other day. Sometime later, Takana asked Kazuhiro to continue acting as her fake boyfriend, apologizing and saying that Momono was still not convinced. Kazuhiro said that he understood and that he would do his best, thinking that he would see Takana on Sunday and wondering what to do about his knee. The scene shifted again, and Saotome questioned Kazuhiro about whether he was hiding something while the two of them had lunch on the rooftop. Kazuhiro reacted in panic while eating, and Saotome pointed out that he had been staring at the sky too much despite having lunch made by his cute girlfriend. Kazuhiro pointed out that they were just fake. Saotome asked whether it was not fun to be with her or whether something was bothering him. Kazuhiro denied it and said there was no such thing. Saotome reminded him that he could consult her if he had a problem. Kazuhiro thought privately that he could never tell her he had double-booked dates. While eating, he thought that double timing might be the best solution because he would be the only one to take punishments and that canceling any of the dates was out of the question since he knew their situations. Saotome stared at him, then suddenly moved her face close to his and tried to bring him back to his senses. Kazuhiro reacted nervously, and Saotome demanded that he tell her what was right in front of him. Kazuhiro hesitated, thinking that Saotome smelled nice, and eventually answered with her name. Saotome rejected that answer, and Kazuhiro corrected himself and identified her as his girlfriend. Saotome confirmed that and hugged him, saying that a girlfriend could not ignore her boyfriend if he was in distress and questioning whether what troubled him was something he could not say to his girlfriend. Kazuhiro blushed in shock and admitted that it was hard to tell her because she was his girlfriend. Saotome said that might be true for a real girlfriend, but maybe it was okay for a fake girlfriend. She told him she was worried about him and that if something awful had happened, she would do what she could to make him feel better. Her face was extremely close to his, and she waited for his response. Kazuhiro struggled internally, thinking that the moment was too much. Saotome suddenly pulled away, joked about it, and asked if he felt better now. Kazuhiro reacted in confusion. Saotome ran away laughing, teasing him for getting carried away too fast and falling for it again. Kazuhiro called out to her in frustration. Saotome corrected him and told him to call her Saotome since they were still lovers despite being fake ones. She added that he could consult her whenever he was truly in trouble. Kazuhiro agreed nervously and thought that Saotome was a mystery. The scene changed to Saotome walking alone, thinking about how Kazuhiro had not told her anything in the end and wondering whether she felt that way because she was his lover or because she lacked experience in being one. She sensed something behind her, turned around, and dismissed her suspicion internally. The setting changed again, and Takana and Seina greeted Saotome happily. Saotome said it had been a while and that a year had passed. Seina agreed and said it had been since the day Saotome had announced her return to work. Takana asked Saotome how her work was going. Saotome said that it was progressing one step at a time, but that she had been able to bounce back thanks to both Seina and Takana, and she expressed her gratitude. As they talked, Takana asked in surprise whether Sane had a boyfriend. Sane clarified that instead of lover, a senpai from her workplace was a more fitting description, and said that he was the only person who had gained her trust recently. Takana said that was nice and asked what he was like, admitting she had never been in that situation herself. Saotome critically noted Takana's wording. Takana, embarrassed, then blushed and said that since they were on the topic of boyfriends, Sana was shocked that Takana had one as well and commented that he must be someone stronger than Takana. Takana denied it and said his face and physique were plain. Sana accepted this. Saotome smiled quietly and thought that those two also had boyfriends. Takana explained shyly that it was nothing to brag about, but that he was someone who gave his all to help someone in trouble. Sana added that the person she adored also always did his best without showing a bad face, despite being made to deal with trifling tasks. Saotome wondered internally who it could possibly be and suddenly thought of Kazuhiro, then questioned her own thought. The scene shifted to Saotome walking alone later and saying aloud why she was reminded of him. She repeated to herself that a plain face and a plain physique could not ignore a troubled girl, that Sane's workplace was somewhere near Takana's house, and that the whole thing seemed strange. Saotome reflected that she had met her friends again after a long time the previous day and named them as Hayo Takana and Tenkyun Sane. She said that those two had told her they were going out with their boyfriends on Sunday. Kazuhiro reacted stiffly. Saotome said that those two looked so happy. Kazuhiro stammered and said what a coincidence, because he also knew those two. Saotome said she wished their nice boyfriends would give those two happiness. Kazuhiro struggled to respond, made a tense face, attempted to say something, and then froze. Saotome said that she had already had a hunch and asked if it was really him. Kazuhiro admitted it. Saotome said that he had taken on the extra hard task of being her fake boyfriend, and, as if that were not enough, he had tricked her precious friends and was now trying to double-cross them. She called him the worst. Internally, Saotome thought that what she hated most was the fact that she herself had chosen this dishonest guy as her fake boyfriend. Kazuhiro bowed to the ground and addressed Saotome, saying that he knew what he had done wrong and that it could not be changed no matter what she told him. He said it was fine even if he got found out by those two, but he wanted both Sunday dates to be successful, which was why he asked her to overlook it until then. Saotome asked whether she was supposed to overlook such an important fact for the sake of the other two. Kazuhiro insisted that it was not a lie and promised. Saotome looked at him and finally said that she understood. She said that if he could not afford to let both dates fail, she would help him out.
By the way, if you enjoyed the video, maybe consider liking and subscribing, pretty please?